Well, welcome everyone to College Council, which is the highest level of governance at San Diego City College. My name is Ricky Shabazz, and I have the honor and privilege of being the president of our wonderful college. We come together every 2 weeks to talk about a number of matters and have presentations as part of our communication to our broader campus. For those of you who are watching via YouTube, you can place an agenda item on College Council one of several ways, either by communicating to members of the constituency groups, which I'll introduce momentarily, or by emailing the president's office, Aaron or myself, and we would welcome the opportunity to talk about any matter that comes to your attention. With that said, I'd like to begin College Council by doing a roll call of the constituency leaders. These are the folks who you can work with to bring an agenda item forward. And then we will hear from a number of guests. Today, we have a presentation about the San Diego State microsite in Elizabeth. We have an update on our NAVWAR partnership. And right after approving the meeting minutes, we will hear from our appointed chancellor. He is here with us today. So we have Dr. Carlos Turner Cortez. We'll talk briefly about the transition. I know folks are eager to hear from our newly appointed chancellor, and I appreciate Dr. Cortez coming to College Council. And so let me begin with the roll call, and let me share my screen. Paul Alexander, past president, Academic Senate.
And I am here.
I saw Paul.
Yeah, I'm here.
Thank you, Paul. Teddy Chavez, Vice President of Instruction.
Present.
Aaron, Administrative Representative.
Present.
Rod, one of the deans and chair of Institutional Technology.
Present.
Caesar, Public Information Officer.
I'm here.
Jocelyn, Supervisor Representative.
Present.
Nadia.
President of Chairs Cabinet, here, present.
Standing in for Destiny is Josh. I believe I saw Josh, one of our student leaders.
Present.
Susan, Dean Institutional Effectiveness.
Present.
Masa, President of Academic Senate.
Present.
John, Vice President, Administrative Services.
Present.
Senate.
Good afternoon.
And he's Vice President of Students.
Present.
So there are two sets of meeting notes that we will be voting for approval. And I want to acknowledge Aaron, who's doing an amazing job being down one person in my office. Thank you, Aaron, for everything you do. We have meeting notes from April 13th and April 27th. Those were sent out to you with all of the attachments for today's meeting. If someone would like to make a motion to approve the meeting notes, both sets.
This is Awana. I'll motion to approve both sets of minutes.
Thank you, Awana. Would someone like to second the motion?
I second the motion.
I believe that was Denise seconding the motion. I learned a new feature from Masa, and I've been using it. Thank you, Masa, for teaching me. We're all learning how to use Zoom more effectively. So all those in favor, if you would click on the reactions button, and green means you would like to accept the meeting notes. X means you would like to opt out. If you would take a moment to do that real quick. Looks to me, Aaron, like the motion passes. With that said, we have approved the meeting notes, and I would like to give the floor to the newly appointed, effective July 1, Chancellor of the San Diego Community College District, Dr. Carlos Turner Cortez. Thank you, Carlos, for being here.
Ricky, there's Dr. Shabazz. Ricky, thank you so much. It's honestly it's a pleasure and an honor to be able to join you today, and I want to thank President Shabazz for inviting me to participate in this meeting. I haven't had an opportunity to connect with the leadership teams of the other two colleges. As you're aware, I come from San Diego College of Continuing Education, and this is actually the same time as our executive president's leadership cabinet. We meet. This group is called Executive Governance Council, like District Governance Council, and meets on Wednesdays typically. But it certainly is not this large, I have to say. So I applaud you for being this inclusive of this many different voices and perspectives. Our group is probably about half this size. I think we have 12 voting members, and of course guests can attend. But as you know, the transition's underway. I'm really excited about this opportunity. I recognize that many of you may be apprehensive in that you haven't worked with me closely in the past. I know there's some concerns that I come from the non-credit sector, and whether I have an appreciation, understanding of credit. I will say for those that know a little about my bio, I came from Berkeley City College, which I think is probably the closest college to San Diego City College in the northern part of the state. And so the tradition of civic activism and protest, frankly, around social justice and inclusion is one that I certainly value and applaud. I have often said in private company that if I had to work for another college in the district, it would be City College because of the values that the college espouses. That said, when the position was open a couple of years ago, I was only two years into my position, and it would have been appropriate for me to consider abandoning my organization, which I love deeply. So I think most of you probably had an opportunity to participate in the forums. And in the forums, I sort of outlined a vision that I would hope to bring to the district and a 10-point plan. And because you're all part of the leadership team, I assume most of you were probably present, if not all of you, at the forums. And so I'm not going to be repetitive or redundant here. And I also know you have a busy meeting and I need to get back to my meeting, but I did want to stop through and just let you know how excited I am about this opportunity. In terms of my style, I do have an open door policy meeting. I will meet with anyone. There's a couple asterisks there. If it's, of course, about an HR matter that's underway, an investigation, or if someone wants to meet about a position that's posted in the district, I tend to avoid HR meetings and I don't take sales calls frequently. But otherwise, I do have an open door policy, and I'm going to be setting up open office hours, not just at the campuses, as Chancellor Carroll has done, but at my office, at the district office, once per month as well for anyone who wants to participate. And I have started the process of setting up meetings with each of the classified and academic senate presidents. But certainly if anyone else is part of those leadership teams wants to meet, I'm happy to connect with you. But I'm thrilled about this opportunity. I know that this is not going to be easy for anyone to step in and to try to replace our esteemed chancellor. She is a remarkable human being and the most impressive educational leader I've ever encountered. And I'm just humbled by the opportunity to be able to fill half of her shoes, if that. And so I'm excited. July 1 is the start of my new tenure, and I'm going to have to hit the ground running. I will say that I've been particularly impressed by how City College has increased enrollment in the past couple of years. And I want to credit this leadership team because that doesn't happen accidentally. It's clearly the outcome of deliberate, intentional actions that you've taken. And you've increased productivity as well in that process. And that's really going to be our main charge. And so in terms of what our focus is going to be for the upcoming year, I think it's really threefold. And I think we're all aware of what the issues are. It's COVID and reopening. And I'm sure those are big parts of this conversation. It's our budget situation. We need to come out of hold harmless, and we have to make some big decisions about how many students we think we can serve moving forward, and make sure we're strategic about how we achieve those goals. And And then the third challenge, I think, is going to be productivity. Reality is we've cut about as much as we can cut from our budget. And when you're trying to make the budget of a district or a college work, there's really two factors that dominate the budget. One is the money coming in, and the other is the money going out. And we've impacted about we've cut and cut and cut to the bare bones, and so we can't really eliminate many more expenses. The only other way to balance the book now is to increase class size, and we know that that's not always a warm conversation to have with stakeholders, but we need to be thoughtful and creative about where we have opportunities to do that. And that's really been, part of the work that I've done at Continuing Ed, and part of what I think has helped us to has led to a new model for how we schedule and program at Continuing Ed, and has allowed us to be both productive and to hit enrollment targets for the past 4 years, with this year being our strongest year to date, which is atypical, as I think you're all aware, because of the COVID closure. I guess I am happy to take questions. I don't know if there's anything specifically. I didn't prepare any remarks. I was just jumping through. I know many of you and working with you in different ways, and some of you I'm just coming to know. Some of you I know are newer to our system, but I'm thrilled for this opportunity. I'm really excited for City College. I do have an ask, I should say, and we do have the ACCT conference coming up this fall, and I don't think Ricky was with the district the last time they came to San Diego. I think that was the year before you started, if I'm not mistaken. And so it's a big undertaking. We have to provide student entertainment for 6 or 7 events, and they ask for volunteers. And of course, we want to have a big showing, but we're the sponsor district, and that will take place the second week of October. So right when we return. So in the next couple of weeks, I know requests are going to come from Constance's office of this group. And, of course, I'm the person that's going to have to execute the plan that's being developed now. And so your support would very much be appreciated, including what I believe would be the first major dinner in the Corporate Ed Center, as it was done last time around. So we'll talk more about it, I'm sure, in Cabinet next Tuesday, and Constance will reach out to Ricky specifically. But City College had a very important role because of the location to the hotel where the conference is held.
Yeah, thank you, Carlos. And let me just go on record as saying we would love to help. And I'm thinking at this moment of our dance program and our wonderful chair and faculty and possibly theater, but I'm sure that there are other areas. We have VAMP, which does an amazing job with poetry. And so we would love to help. Josh, I see your hand. And unfortunately, we've got a jam-packed agenda, and Dr. Cortez has to get to another meeting. And so, Josh, if you would email me your question, I would make sure that it gets to Carlos. But what I really was hoping to accomplish today is that there's been such a gap between the appointment and the start date, is for Dr. Cortez to come and talk about the transition, because we know there can't be 2 chancellors at the same time. And so we're trying to be both respectful and honor Constance Carroll. And as you heard from Dr. Cortez, a lot of work is underway with the board and Carlos in terms of the transition. And so I was hoping to make an appearance so that you knew he was working behind the scenes, so that on July 1, he is ready to go. And then I'll close with this. I know we love this district, and this is something that I know Carlos does as well. And so in my conversations with Carlos, I pledged my support because I don't want to go work anywhere else. This is the best place I've ever worked in my life. And I know this team feels the same way. So whatever we can do to keep the utopia that we have, I'm sure that we're going to be willing to do whatever it takes. So thank you, Carlos. I know you've got to get on to another meeting. Definitely appreciate you stopping by.
Thank you. And anyone, of course, can email me directly. And I do appreciate you making the time and giving me this opportunity. And I do look forward to us working together. And by the way, your radio station is the best. Thank you all.
Yeah, take care. Thank you. Moving on the agenda. I know a lot of folks have questions about the transition, so I was hoping to offer some overview of what's occurring. I do know a plan will be forthcoming from the district and the board as it relates to what the next 30 or so days will look like. moving into the start date for Carlos on July 1. Let me move down on the agenda. Please bear with me. Oh, next we have a very special presentation, and let me stop sharing to see if Tatiana and Lucia have joined us. Yes, I see Tatiana and Lucia. Yes, so we received word about a week or so ago. This is such a huge honor, folks, to have two City College students, superstars, future doctors, doctorates, leaders, current leaders on our campus. And so I'd like to congratulate Tatiana and Lucia on their receiving the Jack Kent Cooke Scholarship. And this is huge, folks. It provides up to $40,000 for each of them to continue their undergraduate studies. I believe that Tatiana has said she's going to UC Berkeley. We send many of our best there. Lucia has a number of options herself. I thought I saw UCLA and UC Berkeley and a couple other colleges. Her list, I'm not quite sure that she's decided. If she wants to make an announcement today, no pressure, she can do so, but we know she's going, wherever she's going, it's going to be special. And so I would like to acknowledge, and just because you appear first on my screen, Tatiana, if you want to address the College Council and those watching live on YouTube, and then Lucia will go to you next. Welcome, Tatiana.
Hello, everyone. Hello. I cannot tell you how this scholarship has changed my life in the instant of like just a few minutes of the conversation I had with my family and with the representatives from the Jack Kent Cooke community have been extraordinary. My life has completely changed, and this scholarship and the resources from the foundation are going to kickstart a new future for myself. And I am so humbled and so blessed to have worked so hard during my time at City College, and all the hard work that me and Lucia have put through has been shown and recognized by these people and by everyone here. So thank you so much.
Well, congratulations. And I hope I acknowledge that you're also an Umoja student. Shout out to Aaron Charlins and Paul and Rob, and everyone involved in Ebony. I know I'm leaving somebody out. Please don't be mad at me. Shout out to Umoja and everybody involved in Umoja. Lucia.
Hola, buenas tardes. How are you? I'm nervous. I don't even know what to say. It's been so much this past few days. Congratulations, Tatiana. We just met and we were just talking about how emotional we've been after the surprise. But yeah, also this is a relief for me and my family. Like after I was accepted to these schools I applied to, UCLA, UC Berkeley, I'm still not sure which one I'm going to attend. They're really great schools. But yeah, I was looking at my options. If I didn't get the scholarship, like where am I gonna live? How am I gonna pay for my living expenses? But now I know it's a relief. I don't have to worry about it. I'm gonna just concentrate on my studies, and I'm very thankful for this, and I'm very thankful with my professors at City, my counselors, everyone that has helped me throughout all this process.
Well, congratulations. And I learned something, the exec team learned something where we pass on positive energy. And so what we do, if you all will join me, you rub your hands together like this, and then you put them out there so that Tatiana and Lucia can feel the love from San Diego City College. We are so proud of you all. Couple things. One, John Parker is going to be sending you a couple of City College t-shirts and some swag just to make sure you always remember where you started your undergraduate education at San Diego City College, And as you all have already said, the amazing faculty, classified professionals, supervisors, the entire team, you all. So whenever you get lonely, whenever you get sad, just know you have an entire college that is rooting for you all and an entire community. Also, we have been presented with an opportunity this Thursday, 4 o'clock start time. I'm not sure when we'll go on, but it'll be toward between 4 and 4:15. It would be my honor to introduce both of you to the Board of Trustees during the board meeting and our wonderful chancellor. So if you all, are you all available at 4 o'clock to be able to join me? Wonderful. So I believe someone from Marciano's office will be in contact with you. You should have received the meeting announcement. If you log on at 4 and it hasn't started, don't worry. That just means they're in closed session. It is going to happen. So please do me the honor of allowing me to introduce you to our chancellor and board of trustees and those that are watching during the board meeting. And then next, get used to this because you all are already superstars. Caesar is going to be reaching out to feature both of you in our June newsletter. This is worthy of bragging about your academic accomplishments. And Lucia, you said it best, right? This is such a relief to have up to $40,000 to complete your education. And when you all go out in that world, remind people that you started at a community college, and you know what? It paid off for you. So thank you for choosing San Diego City College. You all absolutely, we are so proud of you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
We'll see you all on Thursday. Again, Marciano, someone from Marciano's office. Thank you, Marciano, shout out to the team and student affairs for making sure that they have the information about all these meetings. You all are celebrities now, and you did it because of your academics. I can't think of another way to do it. Enjoy the rest of your day. Send my regards to your family. We are so proud of you. Take care. Isn't good news good? Right? I mean, we could do this all day. I mean, there's no more of a positive story than those two amazing young ladies who are going to go on to do great things free of charge. Folks are going to continue because of the
I think you're breaking up there, Ricky.
Dr. Shabazz, sometimes it helps us hear you when you're breaking up. If you turn your screen off, the audio comes through clearer.
Yes.
Uh-oh. Don't blame me.
You lost him.
So thank you, everyone. Shall we move forward on our agenda item, right?
He's back.
Oh, he's back. That was fast.
Yeah, gotta love Zoom
There
and
you
gotta
are.
love the internet. Maybe refresh so that you all can hear me.
Thank you.
Up next is a superstar in her own right to talk about an amazing partnership that we have with NAVWAR that is placing City College students in above livable wage careers in engineering and computer science. And so soon to be Dr. Got to speak it into existence, Sasha. Soon to be Dr. Sasha Knox.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I will share my screen if allowable to showcase some quick information and stats. We recently presented on the NIWIC and NAVWAR partnership on May 6th to the AACC. And so I'll just bring some highlights back of that presentation. Please let me know if you lose me. I keep getting the unstable feature. So let me know if I need to turn my camera off so that you're able to better see. This was the dream team that presented the workshop last week to the AACC. So myself, which is the job placement coordinator, and then Angela Hansen, who's the total force for NIWIC Pacific, and then Mimi, who's deputy of corporate programs. We really wanted to, when we're looking at our NIWIC and NAVWARD partnership, we really wanted to talk about ways to make STEM fields and this organization specifically accessible and equitable in the workforce for our students specifically. To bring some quick context, community colleges are often and seldom invited into these spaces. So we had some conversations on our campus with the leadership of Dr. Shabazz and our VPI, our VPSS, of really what does it look like to redefine diversity in the workforce? What does it look like to redesign these college partnerships when we're asking for employment engagements? And then what did it take for it to really manifest on our campus? So that's what I'll talk about today. Again, when we looked at this, we really wanted to look at the ways to expand the box beyond, checking on an application, I am this, I am this, I am this. What are the ways that we could really ensure that STEM fields are accessible for students, particularly students on our campus who do not come to these from traditional pathways? So we were not just looking at means of race, class, and gender. We really wanted diversity of thought, diversity in age, diversity of experience, diversity of pathways, and really looking at the ways that community colleges can fit the gap. So NIWIC Pacific had looked at really their traditional efforts. And so they have professional programs and university job fairs that traditionally happen on four-year campuses. So San Diego State University, they would recruit recent STEM graduates with bachelor's degrees, the ONR internships, the naval civilian careers, and then they have their wounded warriors and vets programs. And looking, again, we were really invested when we had them come to the conversation, had them come to the table of what do partnerships for our campus specifically look like? What does it look like for our students to be able to engage in this information? And so we moved beyond that, and we were able to offer what we see in alignment of those recent activities. And so that was opening it up to San Diego community colleges, particularly it was City College was the first hiring event that we held. And then we also have begun to expand and partner with our Cyber Center of Excellence with our regional alignment. They've gone on to partner now with other campuses in our region, including Southwestern College. They have a specific diversity recruiting team that they did not have before that was able to increase on-the-job spots for students, particularly non-four-year degree holders, and really specifically target underrepresented students that are from our campuses, that live and breathe on our campuses. We know their stories very well. They are stories of students that we wanted to make sure are represented in their workforce. So they began community partnerships branching from that. So they now work with the EDC, the Cyber Center of Excellence, and then the Workforce Partnership. So using our campus as a base and model, they've been able to really bridge the skills gap with active military and non-active military students, and expand it to other opportunities like Cyber Hire Initiative. We've been working collaboratively with MESA on our campus, and then Cyber Corps are some specific campus programs that they've been able to pilot and highlight. So when we talk about on-campus partnership and employment engagement for students, again, this partnership and this genesis really began in 2017 with the initial conversations with Dr. Stephanie Bolger, and really initiated with conversations with our campus, like with Dr. Ricky Shabazz and other presidents, coming together to really say, in what ways can we recruit, retain, and hire students in this employment pipeline? Again, remembering that only four-year students were really invited into these spaces. So they came to our campus in November of 2018, and they began the April Career Fair that launched in April of 2018. On our side for the campus logistics, it was a lot of heavy lifting from our team. We pre-screened every single applicant that came in 2019, and we'll see that on the screen very shortly here. We had over 90 applicants that was selected within the first round. And we pre-screened all of those applicants to make sure that they met the rigorous requirements, but we also had some behind the scenes conversations to make sure that these opportunities were accessible for our students and eliminated and removed a lot of the barriers that are up front for students. We worked with our campus deans, our instructional faculty, our specialty programs like Umoja, Mesa, and Puente, Hubu, to really make sure that students were aware of these opportunities. We hosted student informationals. We were in every single STEM classroom. So thank you to all of those instructional faculty. If you had a math component, if you had science, if you were anywhere in that pipeline, we were in every single class presenting this opportunity to every single student so that students were aware. And so we later made those student informationals mandatory so that you knew what you were getting into. And then in addition to that, we also offered employment readiness workshops. So not only did we come to your classroom and speak about the engagement, but then right after we offered a resume workshop, an interview workshop, so that you knew specifically how to successfully pass all of the layers of recruitment process within this partnership. So from the 2 events that we've currently held on our campus, pre and post COVID, we've had over 116 candidates, and we've coordinated all of those on-site logistics as well as now our Zoom logistics or virtual logistics for over 4 events that we've now hosted. So our first very inaugural event was again hosted in April of 2019, where we got a whopping 90 applicants. Again, we were in every single classroom. 35 students were offered interviews and 16 of those students were offered actual positions. 13 of those 16 formally accepted, and so they work currently with NIWC Pacific. I do want to note that if you are eligible for this, NIWC Pacific offers you an educational incentive for you to stay in school. They tailor your work schedule around your classes so you can have a part-time or full-time position. And they incentivize you really staying the course and advancing onto that 4-year degree. And they work with every single one of those students doing that. That was our pilot program. And from our pilot program, we've now hosted 3 separate virtual events with NIWC Pacific, expanding that to CCOE and opening up to additional partnerships. And I'll talk about that. So our virtual event, thanks to COVID, was hosted in May of 2020. We again were in every single classroom, presented this information, and we had 26 total candidates. While we're a little bit disappointed by this number, we do have to think about the time frame, and that's exactly when everything was kind of colliding with the COVID bubble. And so we had a lower receiving end of applicants with the 26, but of the 26, 17 were interviewed, and 5 were formally accepted positions with NIWC Pacific, and 4 were offered for Syntec Global. So I do want to note here that while we offered our second event virtually, it was with, we expanded the employers. So the FBI, Syntec Global, and Dispatch Tech were also invited to those virtual opportunities. So all 26 of those applicants were actually recruited through 4 different organizations. And so from that 9 were able to get access to full-time or part-time employment. All of the students that have registered, all 116, have access to the cyber career map. And then from that, we've also partnered with the CCOE, and we've hosted 2 Link to Cyber virtual recruitment events. And each one of those have hosted over 130 students individually. So collectively, we've served over 300 students with these recruitment events. The Link to Cyber virtual events host employers like NavWord, NIWC Pacific, Booz Allen Hamilton, Sharp Healthcare, Viasat, Teradata, Syntec Global, and many others. And they all come together to really host. all of the students that were in those 2 summer virtual recruitment events are now in the application process. And so I do have some leading numbers of what that will be, but if you can imagine, our government positions and these really, the recruitment process takes 6 to 9 months. So those numbers are not yet solidified, and I'll bring that back to the group once those are done. This, as you can imagine, as blown up beyond our wildest dreams, has put us on a national stage, and we're really just thankful and grateful for the opportunity. Again, these are not things that we could have ever imagined, and it's just an opportunity for us to open the door for our students now and for those to come. So thank you for having me. Let me know if you have any questions. I know we're on a tight time crunch. If there are any questions, feel free to shout them out here, or I can always answer them via email as well.
Thank you, Sasha. If you could unshare so that we can see our wonderful colleagues. Are there any questions for Sasha?
Maybe just a comment.
Let me thank Sasha. Go ahead, Tilly.
Paul has his hand up. Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, hey, Sasha. Thank you for this, great presentation. I appreciate, of course, all the hard work that you put into this. I'm wondering, though, are there any conversations being had with the students? One of the things that, excuse me, that we pride ourselves at City College is social justice, and us kind of being a part of, literally a war machine, and the consequences of that. Do we actually have conversations with students? Excuse me, of course, my voice is going out, which is probably a hint to stop talking, but conversations around social justice and the impact of them, getting an education, but at the result, possibly getting into some type of field of work that will, literally kind of end up in very anti-social justice like impacts.
Yeah, great question. So yes, we are having a conversation. We have a lot of values conversations. I pride really our counselors and our faculty, because we have those conversations in coalition with each other, and broaching those. And again, when I talk about values conversations, I say, who are you responsible for? What communities do you belong to? How does that show up in your work, and how does it align with what you want to do long-term? And how does that match with the organization? So not only are we having those conversations with our students, but we're having those conversations with NIWIC Pacific. We're sitting down with Mimi, sitting down with Angela, going, in what spaces and places and what ways are students being embraced into your organization? In what ways can we collectively make an impact? In what ways can we make sure that social justice doesn't end here? We prepare them here on our campuses, but how can we continue that torch? And I may not have done enough justice to that question when we were talking about expanding the box, right? And that's what NIWIC Pacific's commitment to our students and commitment to our campus is not just checking a box and bringing our students in for diversity efforts to be able to say that we've done it on a page, but creating that diversity of thought within their offices. And during the presentation, they did a lot of conversation around this was the return on investment. Not only were we able to recruit these students, but these are now the new ways in which we implement systems, processes, and do things on our campuses of NIWIC Pacific, thanks to the efforts of the students, thanks to the diversity of thought there. So yeah, yes, we're absolutely doing that.
So I think in addition to that, there's organizations like Project Llano and other types of organizations who talk about kind of the impact of being part of a kind of a military war machine. And so I think inviting groups like Project Llano to talk like that to kind of cohorts or to students who are involved in it, as well as, veterans that we have in our campus. One of our former students, Maurice, I'm forgetting his last name at the moment, but was a rock star on campus and also involved in Project Llano. But I think making sure that they understand the implications of working for companies that, I think, what is it, the name, like SPA War? Is that like literally the name? I think it's important to have those kind of deeper conversations with them as well, especially if we're on a campus where we're talking about, social justice. And so what are the impacts of designing weapons of war? What are the impacts of being involved in the FBI, especially in a time where there's heightened attention to Black liberation, Black Lives Matter movements, et cetera, so that they can think through kind of these options. A job is great, and education, of course, is important, but making sure that they recognize, what is it that we give up when we, if anything, when we participate in certain types of programs. I think that would be, really beneficial as well.
Thank you, Paul. And I can assure you that the representative from Spay-War, NAVWAR, who is a community college student, former community college student herself, and a Latina, we actually met to develop this partnership as a result of me being on the San Diego Workforce Partnership board. And the goal is to, you can either change an organization from the outside or you can change it from the inside. And her goal as someone who works with predominantly non-people of color is to change the organization from the inside. And being a social justice campus, with our students being trained in all things being social justice, we believe that there's an opportunity to change these organizations from the inside as well as the outside. But you raise a great point. Over the series of the next couple of college council meetings, we're going to have a number of presentations on partnerships, because I was having a discussion with someone that questioned what partnerships have been developed in the last 3 to 4 years. And so this is one of many. Sasha's also working on a partnership with San Diego Gas and Electric that is sure to be exciting. And these are industries where people are retiring, and there's an opportunity to diversify those workforces, not just in people, but also in thought. And you heard Sasha reference that as well. And so, Paul, we absolutely want the same thing. And I can assure you that the representatives from Spay-War do as well. One last question for Sasha before we move on to another exciting partnership? Well, thank you, Sasha. Appreciate you being here. Next up is an update on the San Diego State microsite, and I'll turn it over to Tilly and Elizabeth.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Elizabeth, for being here with me today. And we're here to just do a quick update. I'm going to do a little history, if I may. I know that's probably your background more, Elizabeth, the history person, but I'll take it for just a second. And it was about a year ago today-ish that we came to speak to you all about this partnership with San Diego State and a potential having microsite here at our college. And everybody's kind of like, well, what is that all about? And we were really investigating. Everybody's on top of it saying, yes, this would be great. And I'm not going to give all of the wonderful things away, because I know, Elizabeth, this is really your area. But I want to say that in our presentation, Dr. Bull was here with us, so we had her support. Ricky and the exec team had met with them along with Elizabeth Norvell. And some wonderful things have happened. And this is really, I'm just going to say, it almost feels like it's really encompassed the entire campus, right? And so I really want to today just to present Elizabeth Norvell, which is to me the champion of our microsite with San Diego State. And Elizabeth, do you want to go ahead and take it away and give us a quick update?
Sure. Thank you, Tilly. I have really enjoyed working on this project, actually. The people have been wonderful, and it's such a great opportunity for our students. And of course, our faculty have been wonderful as well, as always. So I have a little update. I'm going to start with communication studies. And so up to the date today, 19 students have been admitted to the communication studies microsite for fall 21. And I spoke with Dr. Bull last night, and he said that everything was going wonderfully, that with communication studies, which the faculty confirmed with me this morning. And Dr. Bull has been set them up with the counselors, and they held a town hall. I know that Caesar helped with that. And he's certainly welcome to chime in about that. I missed all that fun, but I did all the contracts, which was fun for me, oddly, right? And so it's swinging, I think. They've presented to the counselors, and they will be, the faculty said this morning that they will be looking to set up another time at the all counselors meeting again in the fall. And the faculty report that they have heard from 4 city students that have been admitted to the program. However, there are probably more. That's just 4 that they've mentioned, and there are 19 in total going in from City College. So interestingly, 19 students are also admitted from City College, are also admitted to the Child Development program for fall 21. And this cohort of 19 is going to be in the same classrooms with the Imperial Valley Child Development cohort. So I'm not sure if I just learned probably about 2 months ago that there is a child development microsite at Imperial Valley. So they will be together. And so in the case of child development, it's been a little more time consuming, and the preparation for major is much more robust. The good thing is that City College has a really wonderful City College Child Development Department, and faculty have a really good relationship with the San Diego State on-campus faculty. So there are students, it's a little different in that the students that are applying for the SDSU microsite are coming from other majors. Like all the communication studies are communication studies majors. But in child development, there are students applying from CCCs, not just in San Diego, but from other places in the state. And they're coming from human services, they're coming from sociology, from different sorts of majors. And so they have preparation for their major still to complete. So the good news is that the articulation officer at San Diego State has also been extremely helpful. And she has worked out with the child development faculty at in the Child and Family Development Department at SDSU. There are 11 students that she brought to them. She brought their names and all of their information to them and said that these students still need to complete the child development nutrition class and the curriculum class. So we are offering those 2 classes this summer. Becky Collins is going to be teaching them. And so far, they are filling quickly. So far, there are 18 enrolled in the 133, the curriculum class, and there are 36 enrolled in the nutrition class, the child development 180. So those are rolling along nicely. She does not know at the moment which students are from the microsite, but she will once she gets the class. She'll query them and find out about that.
So Elizabeth, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I can't say. So originally, when we started with this microsite last year, we really had no idea which areas we were really going to take on or not, but they've kind of just evolved, right? So right now we're in the communications has done well. We weren't sure how this child development was going to work, and I'm glad to hear that it's kind of encompassing more than one area. Do we have an idea if it's going to continue down several other pathways? What is the potential that we can do with the microsite? Have they indicated for us?
Do you mean, will they offer us more subject areas? No, there's nothing on that.
Not
Nobody's
yet.
mentioned anything yet.
Okay. So is that something we can seek out and move forward on?
We can. I can certainly ask Teresa about that.
But it's nice to know. I mean, this just was a year ago, and where it's flourished already at this point in time. And what I really, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you on that. I just want to say that probably for everyone here is that the big undertaking of an MOU with a partnership with a university like this was not something that just occurred over 2 weeks. Would you say, Elizabeth? It was probably a 9-month
No, it was all summer.
journey.
It was definitely all summer and well into the fall.
And then by the
just to
time
get
we
the
got it
contract
passed,
together.
right?
Mhm.
So it's been a journey. And I think to me, that's one of the things I also just want to express as Ricky has just mentioned about partnerships. I mean, you know, we start off in making those connections in certain areas, but it's just so wonderful to see how the rest of you take them on and live the partnerships and continuously. I mean, sometimes it's probably like, oh yeah, that's just part of what I do in my everyday life now. you know,
I
speaking with
definitely
them,
have
so.
to give a shout out to Dean Shelley Hess from the district office of instruction, that she was wonderful with the contract, and I learned so very much from her working on that. And then the faculty have just completely stepped up to this and been very excited for the opportunity. And sure, I'd welcome more. And you know, we have a great working relationship with all of the people at Global Campus. So
Do you
yeah,
think
it's all
we
very
might
positive.
have a minute
Anybody
to
else?
just see if anyone has any questions at this time?
Just gonna ask.
Okay, sorry.
Oh no, it's okay.
Any questions about the microsite and our partnership?
Caesar, do you have anything to add?
No. Well, the communications office appreciate the opportunity to help support this project. With all the materials on the microsite, printed and digital materials, we wanted to ensure that City College branding was on the materials as well, just to let them know that it is a SDSU program, but City College's involvement is very much part of it.
Definitely. Thank you so much for all of the help you provided.
And thank you to everyone involved in this. This is allowing students who would not have ordinarily been able to go to San Diego State had we not had this microsite. And so kudos to those who did all the work, and Elizabeth, you spending your summer working to make sure that this came into existence.
Yeah, in fact, if I may add just one more thing you reminded me, Ricky, is that the communication studies faculty today mentioned that there were a few students who got in under the GPA limit this time. So it's just wonderful. It's like just new opportunities for students who just were not going to get in before. So thank you.
Well, thank you. We appreciate the presentation. Again, these are just two of several partnerships that are helping our students, whether it be the NAVWAR partnership or the San Diego microsite. There are tremendous efforts underway to bring additional resources and opportunities to City College. Moving on with the agenda. We have the concept paper. So I'm going to turn this over to Tilly. We didn't have the paper the last time we had the presentation by Justin and those. You all have the concept paper that is updated. And Tilly, I believe you at this point should just make a motion for approval, and then we could have any necessary discussion moving forward.
Okay, thank you, Ricky. I would like to make a motion for approval for accepting, and now it just left on my screen, sorry, the concept paper that I had just sent out, and I'm looking for my title on there.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Further discussion, Tilly, just 2-3 second high level overview, since this was already presented last week, just to bring people up to speed who may be watching on YouTube or need a refresher before we formally vote.
Sure. Thank you, Ricky. We have some faculty that have been meeting for a period of time from the ethnic studies, from Chicano studies, and from our STEM programs come together and have been working on a concept paper and really looking to have the notion of students that are taking ethnic studies along with STEM have a tendency, there's some research out there showing that they do better. And our hope is really to get anywhere from the exposure to STEM to staying in STEM, et cetera, and moving forward to using this concept paper in many ways of grants in the future, anything that we can do here at our campus. And these things that are already happening for us at that level. And that's just kind of that whole notion of that, putting that together. And I know I've heard some people saying, well, it doesn't really have a set a question or research study yet, because the purpose of the concept paper was just to get the idea together and be ready to go when we did find some maybe a funding source that might be able to plug it in. And we have, like I said, some STEM faculty and ethnic study faculty that are working together on that piece.
Yeah, and Tilly, I would actually counter to say that we do have a intervention being a cohort model that embeds ethnic studies into science. and decolonizes the science so that students who are coming from the service areas that we have students coming to us from, which are largely first generation, low income, Black, Chicano, Latino, Asia Pacific Islander. I could go down the list. Many of them have gone their entire K through 12 education without seeing a person of color teaching science. And so this is an opportunity to teach science, frankly, from the standpoint of their ancestors, the Mayans and the Egyptians, in that mathematics was actually taught from and by people of color. And so that is the intervention that we are planning to go after an HSI grant that was released. So there's a team of folks working on this. Any further discussion? So we have a first by Tilly, we have a second by Awana. If you could use the reaction button, meaning green being in favor, the X being not in favor. Certainly, if you would like to abstain, you can unmute yourself. So those in favor of adopting the concept of a cohort model of embedding ethnic studies into science and being able to go after HSI grants to increase the success rate of the students that we serve going into these fields. Looks like it is a unanimous approval. Appreciate that. And we're going to have some information next meeting from Denise that is actually connected to this in many ways. Another grant that we're going after that seeks to do the same thing. There's a lot of funding right now out of the federal government and grants for increasing the success rate of underrepresented students in the sciences. And so we are working on another Title III grant. We've already presented to you on that as well, but Denise is going to come with an update in the next College Council meeting. Motion passes. Let me keep moving on the agenda. Update on staffing. Just wanted to, for the record, go over the faculty positions. So last meeting, we talked about the Dean of Exercise Science and Health and Athletics that is moving forward along with the theater tech, but we are hiring faculty. We have 3 retirements. These are 3 replacement positions. We went to the chairs meeting. We talked about this with the Academic Senate, and for the record, we just wanted to showcase the positions that are going forward, which are the behavioral health counselor, i.e. mental health, to help our great mental health program run and directed by Leslie Easton, photography professor. We had 2 retirements, or 1 current and 1 pending June. And so this will continue to offer a full-time faculty member in photography. And we had to do a bump. And I want to just acknowledge Dean Rose and our chair, Sudi, in cosmetology for their leadership, realizing that enrollment is at a much different level in cosmetology. And so they offered to allow nursing to move forward. We had a spirited debate about the professional development coordinator. And these are the 3 positions. If there is a 4th retirement, which happens all the time, we'll visit cosmetology or psychology. We have a workaround for the PD coordinator with her funds. And so these are positions that are moving forward. Are there any questions about these positions?
Not necessarily a question, Ricky, so much as I just wanted to say that we're going to need, I need to really move quickly on some of these and asking and sending out. I just thought I'd use the platform and say that if people are interested in serving on these committees, please let your constituency groups know, because that's, we're going to be coming to people and saying we need to form the committee soon to get things moving. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yes, and speaking of that, would you mind providing an update on the Dean of Health Exercise Science and your approach to that position for those who may be wondering?
Yes, so I've been sending out some emails over the last 24 hours. We were able to get the Dean of Health Exercise Science. Last year, it was froze right in the middle. And so we are reconstituting a committee. And we have people that were already interested, and I have more interest as well. So it's kind of an open at this point. We're trying to still collect and get that committee group together. And it is going to be moving forward. It's probably that one and the theater tech will probably be moving first before some of the other deans, only because they were the first ones that came out of the gate from HR. Doesn't mean that they're any less the other ones or anything like that. It's just that's how we came through.
So Masa and Awana, you should have emails from Tilly just, seeking your support doing that. Just to make sure we're all on the same page about these committees. There's a lot of moving parts. So it looks like we are recruiting for 5 positions, or in the process of recruiting for 5 positions, 3 faculty, a classified professional, and a manager. There are also 2 additional dean positions, one in the replacement for retirement for Dean Barnes, and one for Dean Edeka. Questions, comments? So I would, just for purposes of record, like to make a motion, if somebody would like to make a motion, move forward with the 3 faculty hires.
I will make a motion to move those 3 hires on forward.
I'll second that.
And that looks, I think it was Aaron who seconded. Sometimes the box lights up and sometimes it doesn't, Aaron. So if you just indicate any further discussion about those positions. Want to thank the chairs for an amazing discussion. Want to thank Masa for just to the chairs and speak. We had a suspicion that this might not go as we thought, and there was a very interesting discussion about professional development. So we followed the suggestions that were put forward, and we're not moving forward at this point with the professional development. All in favor of these positions, if you would use the reaction button, green for support, red for being in opposition. Looks like motion passes unanimously. Thank you all. Summer College Council means there is a need to continue to meet. Of course, we're in a pandemic. There's a lot of planning going on. And so I have requested that Tilly and Denise work with their respective faculty. And what we're looking for is first, the leadership of the Academic Senate's recommendations for what committees should still meet. I am recommending with the exec team support that enrollment management committee, hiring committees, and college council meet. What that means is that there are some faculty members who need to be compensated because they're on a 10-month contract. And so we're identifying the resources through HERF, stimulus funds, to be able to do that. And so
Oh, I think Ricky might have been.
Ricky? No, he's
He might have been kicked off.
if somebody would like to make a motion for college council to continue over the summer.
So moved.
I think that was Denise first.
Yes.
Would someone
I'll
like to
second.
second?
Caesar, I'll second.
Thank you. Caesar seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, if you would indicate so by using the reaction button, for green being yes, red being in opposition, or if you would like to abstain, indicate so by. Thank you. And I am having Wi-Fi challenges. I need to tell my daughter to get off of Minecraft. Like the motion carries moving forward on the agenda, and I have to say, running the Zoom in the meeting at the same time and trying to stay in the meeting without getting kicked off of the internet is quite the experience, folks. Let me share the screen next on the agenda. Is an update on the Chancellor's mural unveiling, and I'm going to ask Denise to provide an update on number.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I am going to provide the update on the mural unveiling, which is on May 26th, 11 to noon. The thrust of the event is really to honor the Chancellor, but also it is a fundraiser for our promise. So the campus community has done a phenomenal job. I want to do a particular shout out to Vice President of Administrative Services, John Parker, and his work to make sure that the mural is running and ready. And so there are going to be poets, we're looking for KSDS to be a part of it, as well as dancers and tributes and all of our different participatory governance groups working together. So, we're really looking forward to that being a very special event. You will get additional details soon, but again, it's also an opportunity to contribute. There's some great gifts and prizes for those who donate. And so we're working on that as a campus community. Also, there's some work being done in regards to the naming of the building. I think you may hear a little bit more about that, shifting the name from the plaza to one of the buildings. I know there's been, additional work making sure that we're following a particular process to do that. So we're very excited about that as a campus community to honor our Chancellor and also to really raise some much needed funds for our promise students.
Great, thank you, Denise. Any questions about the mural? The next item on the agenda, which is kind of why I'm trying to expedite the agenda, is a discussion about the building naming. But before we get there, are there any questions about the mural unveiling, which is scheduled, I believe, for 11 a.m. on May 26th, and it will be webcast via Zoom. There are so many people involved in this. Thank you to everyone. Some of them you heard Denise mention, but we also have Robbie's team, Sean and Eric, and a host of other people who are helping with this. Well, I would invite you all to design an amazing flyer, and we are sending that out to the campus. Next is an item that is a great honor. It does catch us by surprise. We are working through our processes, but I received word that the Board of Trustees on their 13th meeting this week will be discussing for the first time as a group what a subcommittee of the board is interested in doing, and that is naming a building after Constance Carroll. And as many of you all would probably guess, if I was a betting person, I would have bet mortgage that the building at Mesa before Constance Carroll was the president. But as the flagship of the San Diego City College, it could only be one first, and we were the first, as a matter of fact, in the state. We're also a campus that the bond built out $160 million worth of facilities, of which the humanities building is one of them. I also understand that the Constance Carroll has a great love of our humanities building. There's no doubt that she has a love of the humanities as someone who majored in the classics and have brought millions of dollars in the humanities, including the building, to our district. So I don't even know if excited is the right word. I was honored that the board would consider naming the Arts and Humanities building at City College after the great Constance Carroll. But when I received that, the first person I called was Masa, because I understand participatory governance. I understand the need to have this discussion. This is a timeline that I'd like to go over. This is our first of 2 opportunities to discuss it. I'm hoping in our next College Council meeting in 2 weeks, we'll bring it to the vote. But I've met with the Academic Senate leadership. I've met with the managers and supervisors. I met with the chairs and the dean over the Arts and Humanities building. And thus far, every single person that I've met with is hugely honored and in favor of this. Now, I do understand that there was a lively discussion at the Academic Senate, and there are some folks who have concerns over process, and so that's why I'm going over the process. I also understand, rightfully so, that there are some concerns over naming things that predate me. I would invite those who have concerns to reach out to me. I would love to learn more. I understand that there's something around the communications department. But I can say in a meeting yesterday with Kelly Mayhew and all of the chairs, Deanna Shelton, I was so encouraged when Kelly Mayhew went over the history of the Arts and Humanities building and Constance Carroll's commitment, not just verbally, but in action of bringing additional resources to the districts, our professors, our support staff in the arts and humanities. But I do believe that many of us think that this is the right thing to do. I would like to open it up for discussion if there are others who would like to chime in on this opportunity.
Yeah, Dr. Shabazz, I mean, I can just follow up on what you're saying. I can remember as an adjunct instructor, hearing about Dr. Constance Carroll and like seeing her walk around campus and saying, hey, you know what? Why don't I just see if I can invite her to come talk to my class right now? And she left everything that she was doing, whatever tour she was on or whatever, and came in and talked to my class for about, you know, a good 10, 15 minutes. And I think that that's kind of and this wasn't just once, this was multiple times. And the students having the opportunity to hear from her, to hear about her history and see that the person who's running, you know, one of the biggest employers in San Diego, one of the largest districts in California, was an African-American woman who had a PhD in the classics, you know, frankly was inspirational, not only for them, but for us. And so while, you know, I haven't always, as any administrator, I haven't always agreed with all of the things that she does, but I would agree that it is a big honor. One, that we actually even had her as a chancellor, and two, that she would choose to have one of the buildings on our campus, one of the buildings which I would say just happens to be my building. I'm not saying there's a connection, but named after her, I think is as you said, it's an honor. And I think that having that history kind of memorialized, or having that history kind of, you know, there for everybody to see is going to be an extremely important and thing that we should all be, you know, proud of. And I'm not a betting man either, but I would have bet on City College, Dr. Shabazz. I would have bet on City College. I didn't mean to kick him off. I'm going to go on mute. I think that's like the third time I said something and he disappeared.
And now he's back.
I apologize for my internet today. Paul, I only say that because, you know, we started down this process of a mural, and if we could have speculated that the board would do this and that it would be considered for City College, certainly we would have painted the mural on the building. But for anyone who aspires to be a college president, let me tell you that if you want to have a very lively discussion, talk to your campus about a mural or a building. It'll generate an abundance of things to talk about. Any other thoughts? I'm going to turn off my video just to make sure I stay on. Anything you'd like to add to the discussion? Well, the timeline is such, to the academic senate, I've had discussions with supervisors and the classified. And as I've mentioned thus far, there are a couple of people who have some folks, I apologize. I'm going to have to get a Wi-Fi extender from Robbie because my internet is not doing very well today. Any other comments? We will bring this back for a formal vote. That'll give the Academic Senate and all the other participatory governance groups an opportunity to weigh in. We are working with Jeannie and the chairs to recommend 3 or so options for naming the building. Sean Bacon, I want to thank you and all of the other folks who chimed in yesterday in the discussion. If you have some ideas or would like to give some feedback, I'd invite you to work with your constituency groups or reach out to me directly. We will be bringing this back in 2 weeks for a formal vote. I will be working with Kelly Mayhew and Deanna Shelton to send something out to the campus, most likely on Tuesday. You may say, why not sooner? I can't get out ahead of the Board of Trustees. They haven't actually discussed this in their full group. They're going to do it for the first time this coming Thursday during the board meeting. If there are no other questions or comments for the good of the order,
You know, Ricky, it's just probably for me, it's just, I appreciate the comments from Paul, Nadia, your whole building that had met recently. And I'm new to the district and new to California. So I'm just honored the fact that city was even named. And Paul, thank you for, if you were a betting person, to say that city would have been that first one. But who knew, really? I mean, this was just a lot of planning that we've all done over the course of the entire year. And things start to change, right, too, as people start to leave. And I just want to also thank some of the faculty that we were meeting with yesterday and just remind us that we are, when we speak of the chancellor, it seems like a thing out there, and it really is a human being as well. And just to take that into consideration, I just wanted to bring that back of what some individuals said yesterday. And I can't say it as eloquently as our faculty did, but I just wanted to bring that back today. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Tilly. There was absolute agreement that we want to remember the human side of this as a person retires. And let's have a spirited discussion about the process. But let's remember this woman accomplished things that really afforded us the opportunity to have the beautiful infrastructure and opportunities that we do at college and district. I've worked a lot of other places. There are very few San Diego community college districts on this planet. And that is largely because of Constance Carroll's leadership and the leadership of the wonderful people who we work with. Other comments for the good of the order? The other updates are on the agenda are our year-end events. Please pay close attention to commencement, our drive-through, Emoja. There are series Puente, the nursing penny drive-through. This is smile season because the fruits of all of our labor are our students and their ability to get certificates, their degree and transfer. Thank you all for everything.
I think he dropped the mic.
One more time. One more time.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
That's the end of our meeting.